Welcome back to my lovely HP community and 5D collective. We're going to conclude our lovely day chit-chatting about the love and romance that gets lived and experienced by emotionally intelligent people. So as a 5D mystic who does spiritual self-help, mindfulness, living and loving day-to-day practices myself, and for those who are with our mentory stuff and all of that, which will also come with the YouTube subscription-based model content if you're new. Okay, let me just begin with, if you did tune in to free will and true love, great. If you didn't, you might want to listen to one of the two or both of them if you have some time. The free will is a shorter one, but to give you the gist of it, whether you talk to me about God or sciences, let me reiterate the concept that we were evaluating together. They both reveal something very specific in our lovely era, that a person has the option, the free will, to decide if they want to pursue accessing their infinite higher human conscious potential or not. And that is how far you want to pursue personal development and well-being in this lifetime. That is a choice that you have at the end of the day. Now, before that choice of personal development and self-help can be made, you need to have a whole inner child adult. And that's the part of where in these episodes I share with you all how many people don't do the good therapy and they follow that which I will have said God gives us something always as an option. And that's why benevolent. Why? Because it's not a fallen angel Lucifer thing. It's anyone who has unkind behavior and is continuing to perpetuate transgenerational cultural trauma and mannerisms of shame, blame, fault, revenge. Anyone who's in their modulated embodiment, anybody who's in a low frequency, is going to be that person who, with Robert Sapolsky, he says they've been determined. So they're building upon that which is a behavior that's maladaptive patterns and adaptive child parts. And that's in fact what's clear to any person who's mindfully living and loving and spiritually as well, but one are in the same, because again, it's a person who lacks healthy self-worth. They don't know healthy boundaries. They don't know what love is. They don't know love at all. They don't have it in their body because they don't know how to love their self. And it'll be clear because of their mannerisms. Okay, so the choice is very straightforward in our year 2024. You go and get healed if you have mannerisms that are very going to be like clear as day of codependent type and meshing type. If you're weaponizing the words and talking about it on screen, that's not healing. I'm saying healing like when Kylie talks about what she's doing, and she's somebody I'm so honored to see. She's a narcissist who's healing. Her borderline is in remission. And even she, as any other successful content creator online, the ones of us who are authentic, we're successful with authenticity, will notice that those algorithms and those people who are called to those extremes, we're okay with losing them. We don't want them. But really what it is they're there with biases, extreme, rigid, and not intelligence, emotional, mental, physical. No, because they're not tapping into their 14-month-old and allowing themselves to move into what is a flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, stable brain. They are using emotions and thoughts, first emotion, so their brokenness is all over the screen because they're using it as irrefutable facts. You'll notice, again, those who are with manners and authenticity, because their tone, but also the way that we present content. In fact, it's not a sad day. It's a day of awareness where the masses have always been in the past, where they continue to be. And why is that, again, a benevolent God? Because some people can do it and others don't. Again, I mean, really, I want to present, do you think you have free will? Because if Robert Sapolsky is right, then those who have not the free will to choose to, again, allow themselves to become better, this is where I find it hard to believe the first 2 years of life. No, I find it humorous personally whenever I'm meeting ego in town because of this very specific blind spot. So I personally believe in free will, but it is with the opportunity that we have today of more information, and we still though have two sides, and there is a reason for it. That reason, as I said, some people, they won't make the choice point of kindness. They won't choose love. They choose fear. And they choose to do what the algorithm picks up on. Is not because it's the algorithm. People like to blame the external environment. I don't blame as a person who's empowered. I observe and witness, and the narration is not a narration. Our history shows that humanity within their 14-month-old will choose to play nice with the teddy bear that likes the same cereal that they do, and they will play hostile and maybe not play at all with the teddy bear that likes the opposite cereal. So there's this in and out group, 14-month-old, and since the human beings who don't go to therapy don't own their self-aware accountability regulation of their 14-month-old, and they don't have a 3-year-old who knows how to share the floor with kindness and openness. And it's again determined I'm going to bring you in because I got a twin. That's why I know how to repair any rupture, because I even got disowned. And I'm not broken because God explained you're different, she's different, it's not a competition. So you will hold yourself the way you were held, like Terry points out, from your household, and then you will hold others. So I have been determined, which is why I can talk about God, because I grew up with God, but I don't have to talk about God to talk about how a person can be optimized. In fact, all I need is sciences. I didn't go about my business doing this because I wanted to prove being yourself. No, I went about it because I know I help people want to be their self. And then I was like, wow, this is why they don't want to be their self. Oh my gosh, this is a lot of bunch of wow. And now we have 7 to 14 charming who are telling them how to think negatively of the good therapist. I'm not surprised about that one because ego got a bunch of bullshit. Always the verbal shit going on, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't notice anything in here. I met a bunch of teenagers who did this. They're all cowards in my book, and today as grown up, they're still cowards. But as a grown up who has wisdom, no, they're not cowards. They have plenty of people that give them excuses that say, I'm a scientist. Those are fake sciences. Let me wield my words, and here, I'm going to interpret you data and give you my side. And those be like, my scientist told me my truth. Well, that's exactly what the in and out groups do. So when you find people who are not ruling themselves, they're not actually going to be any type of, creative, energized person who's going to know how to bring forth mental, emotion, physical intelligence so that we can support the future and the betterment of our herd for tomorrow. So here at IHP, we like to think of the betterment of today, tomorrow, and all humanity. And smart people know all about mindfulness, living, and loving. So love and romance. Why do we experience it? Because the ones who don't have the depth of emotional plane, they experience something that they're going to define to you as love. And I'm going to allow myself to reiterate food for thought, number 1. Number 2, subjective experience. I have the depth of Maria's emotional plane. So the depth of your plane will be very different than when you have no depth of plane. I know depth of plane, okay? So let's allow ourselves to organize before we continue. And like I said, I know God is benevolent because I got taught. There are some that can do it, and then there are others who can't do it. Now, I would present myself personally to the therapist, but that's just me. Meaning that when I've noticed that people don't like a challenge, yeah, so I'm going to use a story in a minute. Some people want it to happen, some wish it would happen, others make it happen. Michael Jordan. So what I heard as a teenager is that evil is all that exists. Humans are evil. People are evil. Da, 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 da. It sounds so repetitive that I know I share it with you all the time. No, I don't. But this is the one thing you learn how to do as a feminine is to disregard the bullshit that comes out of the mouth of idiots. And then to not call them too big of idiots because you can be an idiot too. This rabbi tells us that masculines have the infinite potential of life, but only if they get captured, contained, given limitations, and nurtured, which makes me think of a person who, good boy, good girl, good day, did you do a good job? Yeah, I'm so proud of you today. That's how it feels inside of me. But see, I need to let you all in on a fun fact. I have it in a child-centric environment. My mother never scared me at all. My anger was able to be all over the place, so much so that I'm the one who recalibrated my 3-year-old by the time I was 6. No, I started to, and I'm still recalibrating. Ask the 2 people who get my tone, my twin and my mother. Not laughing because it's funny. I'm not ashamed either because she didn't teach me shame. She just taught me, okay, you can work with that tone, you can work with that tone, you can work with that. And she continued. I'm not imposing myself. She continued to explain. I'm still a child inside. See, my 3-year-old, she's right here. But she never made me afraid of her. So I don't know fearlessness at all, meaning to be afraid of a human. I'm like, yeah, what do you want? And even as a teenager, when I'm getting booed in class because I asked about homework on a Friday, I don't remember it as, oh my God, I'm afraid they're going to beat me up. Nope, because they knew exactly what I would have done had they come near me physically, because that's what type of teenager I was. And then I got to get older and like, thank goodness I get to pick my friends. Meaning that even in high school you pick them, but then you're assuming grown-ups are going to be more emotionally and mentally mature, and then you realize that you got a bunch of people who don't know how to grow up, and then you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna leave it alone. Facades do facade shit. So I'm not impressed by those who are masculines or distorted feminines, but I do know where they end up. Pinocchio, how's that island? You doing great? Great. Awesome. Inner critic, outer critic, yeah? Oh, are you doing the fucking business drinking and drugging with, is it the part of thinking of wedding bells, or is it the part of disgust and contempt and shame? Is there anybody who knows what love is all about? I mean, really, what? Are you poly enough? What the fuck? Shit, that's awful. Like, really? So whenever I meet teenagers, I know who they are because make it into like some egoic stupidity. Which leads me to very quote, thank you, Sadhguru man. I love this man. I swear he doesn't even know how much I love him, even though I make fun of all people, myself included. Courageous people do idiotic things. When I met teenagers, I'm not saying I'm smart. No, I'm not. I learned how to follow Maria though, because thank you, mother. Are you gonna follow your friends if they jump off of a? No, but I did jump off of a cliff, and I'll never forget that. Because like Maria, you don't like doing shit like this. Don't do this anymore, because I couldn't get off this cliff. And I now know that that cliff wasn't that high, but I remember it looked really high and I was really scared. And I like to live life because it's a miracle, it's a gift. I don't want to die and I don't want to be a stupid idiot. And so when I saw all these adolescents, I'm like, yeah, they're not doing anything brave. I'm not looking up to anyone. I'm actually very well aware that I did stupid shit. And now that I've learned, it's okay. We got shit to get done. And that's why fearful people do little. Yes, we know who they are. And fearless people see life as it is and what is needed. So I won't say I'm fearless because I actually have fear. It's one of our basic emotions, but it is for physical things. However, my panic attacks, people would say, your life is so perfect. Why do you have panic attacks? Well, I can explain it. I could talk about my freeze response because we have it of all ages and I'm born from a C-section. I can also talk about my light body expansion and rainbow body because I'm a channeler. Now, either way, I have answers for Maria. Now, here's where people seem to be very much interested in everybody else except for their own inner world, which is why you find the people talking to you about twin flames like it's some tragedy. Yeah, again, so what was it? Men have a hard time to commit. So let me talk about my teenage boyfriend. Yes, his cheating was not an issue because I got taught in church about death do you part, sickness and in health, right? All that bullshit. Yeah, it's bullshit. Monogamous men have hit on me and I'm like, you're in a monogamous relationship. I'm polyamory, but you're not. Does your wife know? Why are you making such a big deal? I'm not making a big deal. I just thought I would present to you your conscious choice of marrying and also not mentioning you want a polyamory relationship. So I'm not really clear on why you're here and why you're telling me I'm making a big deal when I'm just presenting to you a very straightforward equation. And women who call us whores or masochists or that we are the cause for why their men are cheating, yeah, okay, so that's another fancy way of women and men being ignorant, which again, thank you God for giving them solace with the people who allow them to continue doing this bullshit. I just think of the medieval times scarlet letters and anybody who doesn't know how to realize what era it is. Oh, I've met women who support what is it? Not having sex before marriage, but allowing themselves to make sure their man gets pleased in however many ways possible. That's fascinating too. Or women who give it all away but think of wedding bells and are disappointed every time they don't get married. So in all ways, shapes, or forms, not the fucking business. I'm going to say it's not even polyamory or monoamory. If you don't have your inner child as an adult, you don't really know what love is at all. And I was a teenager noticing this, and then I grew up and noticed it, and now I'm a 44-year-old woman, and I'm still noticing it. And I'm like, what the fuck? But then again, I remind myself, Maria, the algorithm has a bunch of extremes, and then there's those of you who are authentically doing. So just remember to hone in on the authenticity of the smart ones who are fearless people. But it won't be because they look like they're fearless. It'll be because they're smart. So they know that love and all of it, whether you bring in God or sciences, it's a very straightforward. If you're a human being who's using the whole brain, you're going to know secure attachment. Otherwise, you don't. And it's not a competition, but people are like, it's hard to do. It's not hard. It's a choice to do. And if you're doing it, you won't use the word hard because I've seen the ones who are doing it. They're not complaining about having the scientists. No, they're actually making fun of the same people I make fun of. So when we hear cliche sentences, oh, we're not upset about the gender stereotypes. The men can keep telling me I'm a woman and the women can keep choosing a bear. That's bullshit. But to tell me that it's hard for men to commit, sure. Or that women nurture all and it's painful to start something new. Yeah, sure again. So Here's the deal: empowered men, women, and theys. What I'm going to say, as a feminine, they will have their own feminine. If they're masculine, then they're going to have learned to become their own feminine. It won't be ever in any way that I would like to say differently. I really would. And that's because I have no word. I'm gonna choose the fifth right now. I think it's better that way. Yes, I'm going to allow myself to disengage from what I was going to share. All I'm going to tell you though is that you won't know anything about romance or love if you don't know how to experience your own emotional plane, meaning your own inner child, and then to have fun and to engage with other people and actually to be a person who, let me go grab something because I don't know if, I'm pretty sure I wrote this and we might have a episode. What's his name? I can't speak. I'm going to pause in silence for a minute. I used to like to think I could multitask. A smart person said you can't, and then I found out it's true. I'm very slow when I'm multitasking, which is why I paused so that I could shut the left mode and look for and think of the word that I was looking for. So, being yourself means you're able to be by yourself without losing trust in life, love, or people. When you do know true love, it means, one, I'm going to show you the way to be the best version of you, which means you're optimized human being as a functional adult. And that doesn't mean that I'm going to give you meaning or purpose. No, I'm going to actually not do any of that. I'm going to have what is called in my book grown up conversation. So my teenage boyfriend, I would talk to him like a man, young man, as my future husband. And so it wasn't an issue, the cheating business. I probably would have said, you know what, let's do open relationship by the fourth year or something. But luckily for me, I didn't have to go down that path. And that's really good because knowing how to commit is not the problem. He wanted somebody to help him to be, to tell him how to live life. And feminine will not do that. You see, again, God gave me free will and I got taught to be Maria, my own business, and everybody else has free will and not to play God. The embodiment of feminine ain't going to capture shit. That makes it sound like I need to rule you, which is why when I hear men in cloak saying they need you, which I've heard, men in cloak telling men the right wife for you is she's going to need you. That makes a codependent type relationship, sure. If I die, then that man croaks. I don't want that. Makes me very sad and unhappy. Because that's not true love. My love is going to be, I want you to be happy without me because I'm not going to be afraid of losing you. Because that's what confidence also means. It's from in here. So our mammalian heritage, yes, wants to attach to one figure, but there's a way that the smart human beings allow you to understand becoming securely attached means you learning to love yourself first, which is where I'm getting at. So love and romance ain't going to be with anybody who doesn't know how to love themselves first, except for the ones who want to do all that other shit. There's different soul age groups. I'm in the enlightenment one. Yes, the relationship soul age group, they're not really interesting for me, but some people enjoy that. That's why they get on screen and say, it's hard work to keep a relationship. And I am an empowered woman. They actually think of themselves as empowered. And they're going around telling how hard it is to keep a relationship going and staying alive. And I'm like, wow. Sounds really hard. I don't want to be in your relationship. I really feel for you because that is weighing me down just by thinking of it. And then I'm thinking, yeah, because they have no access to their secondary consciousness and knowing about darkness. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come, and nothingness. Oh, and being nothingness for people that you love. This is an easy one for an inner child adult, which is why you're not lost. You actually sit and think, wow, I'm having a good time right now. What is it? Oh, yes, I know what true love means. And blind faith. So I'm not kidding with y'all. When I'm sitting in silence, I love to be in Maria's brain and never have I ever thought, oh my God, I got rejected all those times because there's something awful about Maria. You need to change, Maria. No, in fact, I've just gotten better at sharing it as a grown-up. There's a door, Eric. I don't understand. I mean, I really thought we were in this together. I didn't realize you wanted somebody different. Makes me think of Greece. I didn't find it interesting at all to see them changing each other for each other. That doesn't make any sense. You're not welcoming me. You're making me go against what God told me. I made you just the way I wanted you to be made. And scientifically, you're going against every child part of mine. So either way, again, true love, romance, it's only with people who know how to be true badasses, FYI, which means you know how to actually behave with all people. Am I not decent enough to be saluted? It's not that. But then again, now that I think about it, no, it's not that. So when you're humble, people who are humble will notice who's humble. And the ones who don't notice, they just think of us as assholes. But we're okay with being thought of as assholes. You know why? We don't want to hang out with unhealthy people. So it's okay if they call me an evil bitch, evil witch, and a whore, and any other name that they can come up with. I just think, wow, that's interesting. They have no imagination. What the fuck is there? That's amazing. They don't know how to wield their words or information for, yeah. So that continues to be in the brain of a person who knows how to think and feel and not be offended when somebody says, I think you're disgusting. Wow, really? No, that they don't do that, but that's, you know what they do. I'm not gonna share this story. This one's hilarious. As this thing happened to me, if I had been a cartoon, my jaw would have dropped. I'm like, oh my god, you know, like that. Oh, that this is not about love. No, none of my men have ever done any kind of disrespect because I completely think I would have lasered them with my eyes. I don't have anything to complain about by the way of my, no, every step of the way, every breath you take. I mean, they weren't watching. No, no. In fact, actually, as a feminine, what I do know, as a mystic right now, I'm going to close it all in. That's why. The ones who don't know what the twin flame or twin flames journey is all about, yeah. So, what you'll know about a feminine, and as my lovely recent masculine friend, he's a mystic. You seem like you know everything, Maria. No, no, I just know everything about me. Now, this is my mystic friend, the one that I told you all about, who was talking to me, and I was talking to him, and he's like, okay, you're a feminine. How are you taking care of yourself? So he was caring about me, and I'm answering him, and I'm giving him all my answers, and he's like, okay, it looks like you know everything. I'm like, ah, because see, ego does this shit. My friend, though, he's mature enough to know how to be a person in the room. So I just explained this because I know my body, not because I'm not listening to. I know your concern, so I'll try and explain it again. And I explained to him that he doesn't need to worry, that as a feminine and a mystic, I know how to say no. And then he came out with the so here's the truth about a feminine is we are nurture. So my mystic friend, he cornered me in the way he and it's funny. So this is for my mystics, and you'll know what I'm about to say if you're a regular one. So he says, okay, so there's 50 people, 100 people. They need you. They're there. They're waiting. Are you gonna leave them? I said, no, I'm not, but I still know what I'm doing, so stop making it. So basically, masculines know that those of us who are feminines are going to not be able to say no if we have a group of people that need. But again, when we're connected to source, Akash, we're not losing our energy. This is the other part. But that's the complementary of masculines and feminines. So I like to joke and bring in serious topics and then joke some more. And then, but again, love and romance. It is straightforward for those of us who have emotional intelligence. And that means you have healthy self-worth. The people who are in betweens, they're there for each other. Every soul age group, there's a reason. And I'm, again, trying to help you all, if you want, for both sides of a coin to understand that determined is correct, as is free will, as is no free will, but God always wins in the end. Life always wins. So the whole Lucifer evil story doesn't win. But that other end of the coin, that's because some people don't want to move into their ventral vagal state. They don't want to use their mammalian heritage. They don't want to use mannerisms that involve what my somatic therapist called an angry Buddhist. I'm not a Buddhist. I'm a Catholic Christian. Jesus walked the walk and talked the talk. So did Buddha, so does Sadhguru, and so do other people. It's also called a somatic empath. So the ignorant ones are the ones who don't know how to bring it all together, not the other way around. The also not blind to faith don't know how to bring it all together. They have disrespected an entire heritage. The theologian that decided to take Reiki and make it into bad energy. Seriously? What the fuck? That's completely uncalled for. Tarot, who knows why in the medieval times they decided not to have it be something that they would want. So there's a lot of ways that this... there's history, but the energetic plane, it's all one big lovely ball of energy. So in this day and era, anybody who doesn't know it is not of our 5D collective, and definitely not of the future, if you will. And we know who they are. Let's prove spirituality like the earth is proven. Sure, this is some lady online who calls us Luciferian because we're new age. Apparently they don't like that we do things our own way, which makes me think, again, adaptive child parts, you have to do it my way. Rigid, unforgiving, harsh, and they think they know everything, which is why they say sentences like this: lack of imagination for evil. And you're like, what the fuck did that mean? You mean lack of education because you don't know of Michael Stone with his scale of evil, and then you don't know neuroscientists, and you don't know neurobiologists, and you apparently don't know a lot of shit, because otherwise you'd understand why they're all healable and why they're talking about not inherently good or evil instead of trying to do what you're doing with your words. Whether you call it God, whether you say God is everywhere or you say everything is one energy, it is the same reality expressed in different ways. Thank you, Sadhguru. So that's what we know. Any person of blind faith. One, we don't question God. Two, we know there's different voices. Three, we know why. Four, we know what the fallen angel, if you need to really use it, but it's all people who don't go and get their heart online. So they don't know love. They definitely don't know their inner child, and they don't know their manners, and they won't learn because they won't hear, and we won't try to. So Pachas, we love and love to live and love to laugh and love to learn and love to expand and love to not cast stones. And so we have love and romance with emotionally intelligent people, which is why when we look to the past, we don't think, oh my God, I lost someone. You don't lose people. You can't. Because the people who want to be in your life, they won't go silent. They won't disengage from you. They won't disconnect. They won't treat you like shit. They won't do a bunch of shit that anybody who's emotionally unavailable will do, and then that who will also not take ownership of all of whatever it is they bring to the table. So I don't have a excuse. I have an answer and more. And when somebody says it's not that easy, I never said it was easy, never said it was hard. I just know there's opportunity and options, and that the majority of people who need those, guess where they're at? Show yourself. I'm dying to meet you. So anytime Elsa wants to stay on her journey, guess who she disengages from? Right here. Nobody likes the mouth of the truth, because mouth of the truth means I'm going to take away your story, because squirrel or Cusco, what the fuck are you talking about? Like when in the movie, you know how he scratches out Pacha throughout the movie until he figures out that he's on the wrong end of the coin, quote unquote. It's about me. It's about me. So whether it's about me or it's about all other people, they're all. And so the romanticizing, demonizing, I don't do that. I do. People have options. Some will say in their safety behavior, and we're going to allow that because the laws are what we look at. Others won't, and that's great, and we'll all be together. And that's because those of us who are emotionally, mentally, and physically intelligent, we have fun. Diversity. It's a great group of eternal children. Oh, and we don't have dead ends. We just have opportunities for inner growth, and that's because we are our own little stars, and we manifest always, every day, 2 hands and 2 feet, and we walk a walk and talk a talk, and you get to be your own father and your own mother, your own divine feminine body, the somatic narrative, your own divine masculine, your own verbal narrative, and with integration of brain and the capacity to do mindfulness practices and mindful mindset practices, and to be in a state of kind intention, neutral intention, loving intention, you get to keep moving forward. And it's really great to be in this era, because I know that my generation, some of us are here, and the younger generation is definitely here. So I get to be here with the ones of us who are inspiring human potential, because we know that every person has kindness within them, like Pacha tells Cusco, and that the ones who don't, they didn't get the chance. And that's why God is benevolent, because that other end of the coin is for the ones who don't want to, or maybe they won't be able to. There's a lot of different variables, which is why determined is accurate in the fact that free will is not really that straightforward, number one. And number two, there's just a lot more that goes around, which is why it's not lack of imagination for evil. No, it's actually evil has a scale. Michael Stone, forensic criminologist. We don't need to use philosophical religious texts. Demons are your own inner critic, family in the head, or some shit that went down, which requires a therapist to help you get out of that, which would be nightmare within you. Okay, so let's not use demon or romance, and that's why authenticity. We don't use trending topics. We try to explain, and I'll continue to do this, because the ones who do, that's an energy vampire, that's a toxic person, but they do it in a way, and then there's other ones, we use words differently, the tone. Okay, so again, love and romance, straightforward as it gets. I love to love, and I love to live, and I love to laugh, and I love to learn, and I love to expand, and anybody who loves to love is going to be an emotionally in-depth person who's going to want to do more. Not like the Zen master who says, I have laundry. Okay, Zen master, you're there for the other people who don't want to be the little choo-choo train that got over the hump. So, again, we'll be back with more. Please do love. And let's learn. Thank you, Cuscos and Squirrels. You give us the opportunity to be Pachas in this world. And that is an honor. And I got to learn from Jesus. And I don't know who you got to learn from, but at the end of the day, we get to be the securely attached people who walk around the planet. And where are you? Lovely Dr. Daniel Siegel. I love that man. I love a lot of men and women and people. Interpersonal neurobiology. I love to love. Yes, and some people say that means you don't love anybody. Sure, sure, I don't. Yep, I love no one. How many different ways can you paint a picture of a person because they're not like you? Let me think. Let me count the ways that I love thee. I love in a securely attached way. So you be you, I be me, and then we're going to have a good time. Oh, and partners for life. Only emotionally intelligent people. Not anybody who has unhealthy self-soothing mechanisms. No, that's a humbug person. So who is in a role as a secure attachment figure? Thank you, Dr. Dan. For this individual, it means when we're secure attachment figures for others, that we will be able to be a deep source of soothing where we have been a safe haven for them, and then we will also continue to be a secure base. So it means that when you are that jaguar, remember, so the feminine, she's your own jaguar, you have certainty and courage in times of fear and your nervous system, so you know how to be in a ventral vagal state. And that's why the embodied feminine, as I was saying, I'm not impressed by any of those who are masculines or distorted feminines. Masculines become impressive once they own their feminine. And so it's once you're yourself, the way that I can bring it to you. And I'm Maria, I'm nobody, so it's none of my business to do the whole impressive or not. But if you ask me, am I impressed by life? Yes, by those who are their whole self, not by those who are cowards. And anybody who wants to use violence or shame or blame or revenge or any of those tactics that are cowardice. And that explainable, yes, for our history. Shame is explained because when you'd get kicked out of the herd, you'd get eaten by animals. That's why the posture is like this. It's no more needed now. No, we don't need to shame people. We can explain things to people with our mouth. Then, your mammalian heritage, your 0-1-year-old needs one attachment figure because otherwise our species can't procreate. So biology has explained technically, I know exactly what would make you into a man or a woman for real and not pretend. I don't need stories. That's why God gives you always an option. Benevolent, why? Because again, some people won't go to get good therapy. Oh, and they won't be a person who understands that my mannerisms are actually me being able to respect you because their prefrontal, as I'm looking in their eyes, has trauma charges coming all over the place. And they're immediately projecting it because their inner critic or whatever bullshit's happening here. Excuse me, you're confusing shit. No, I'm not. So you know of a Cusco, anytime somebody is coming at you in a certain way, which is usually going to be defensive, because if they're empowered, they don't come in like that. They're like, hey, wow, that's really fascinating. Hey, you want to have fun? That's how an empowered person does shit. Doesn't matter what the fuck comes out of your mouth. They're just going to be all over it as they're creative, energized, they're happy, and have fun. They also don't have insecurity. They also aren't obtuse and closed-minded, which is why I love emotionally intelligent, mentally intelligent, physically intelligent men, women, and theys, because, again, I'm an entrepreneur, content creator. I love to think. The subject matter experts I learn from, and even the ones I don't like, I appreciate because I learn from them too. But you better bet I don't cast no fucking stones as I'm trying to have a conversation because I'm not an insecure person. I met them in college. The egos, yeah, they're boring. In fact, once I got to college, like, okay, so you're all over the place. Wow, this is really unfortunate, which is why I'm happy I have YouTube because I get to connect to the smart people. And that's why you're happy too, because you get to connect with me. Because seriously, you don't find pachas all over the place with information, with data and books and all of so much information is out there. So let me conclude. Again, Safe Haven, you've been an incredible source of going when they felt distressed for every part of them. And then that secure base because they know that they can go out into the world that is not a safe space and be their true self, okay? So they can feel okay with being in their whole self because as a somatic empath, when you're a securely attached person, here, integration made visible is kindness and compassion. He says this road to integration can be incredibly energizing because what you're doing is also, you are your whole self, your birthright, but then you're helping somebody heal and bring forth what is their birthright. And that's love and connection for all of us. Obviously, that's because they want it. So again, people say yes to love or they say no. God gives you the opportunity. Again, I'm going to bring it Maria's interpretation because some people don't want to go and heal their inner child. They don't want therapy. They actively continue to subject themselves and others to their shit. Am I not decent enough to be saluted? That's shit. It's just not passive aggressive to me because I'm like, what the fuck? It's unhealthy boundaries. I'm not going to lecture you. I don't want to talk. I already didn't talk to this human being for 3 years. You can only imagine once they did this. Just made sure they would know it. So now they know it for sure. They got it off their chest. I got to reiterate my point, and there you go. We had a face off, quote unquote. So, life as we move together to create more integration in our world, yes, because as Sadhguru mentions, the most precious thing is life itself. Will you realize this now or only on your deathbed? No, we know it every day. So, feminines know about the importance, no, the beauty of life. It's a miracle to have life. And in fact, I think that we'll talk about this tomorrow or in the next coming days. But I wrote down some of the titles. And miracle of life. Most precious for emotionally intelligent, mindfully living and loving people. Yes, because there are people who will make you know of their suffering, then they will give you a scare and they won't care to let you know that they were okay because they're living a fantasy land that lust for the emotionally unavailable person. Yes, so basically they like fantasy stages. They give themselves intermittent in and out behavior. Think of Tom and Jerry. It's very recognizable once you're familiar with the energetic imprint. It's also very unimpressive, which is why we're uninterested, unimpressed by anybody who does not access their whole self. And you're going to be... So it ain't love, it ain't romance. Now, some people feel that they were fooled. Those are the same people who are not empowered. I don't feel fooled. I know how to notice they lack self-awareness, accountability, regulation, which makes them biologically rude, but that means they have childhood trauma that are unhealed. So I'm not going to lecture a lack of self-aware person because they're a bird with a broken wing, and I learned all too well about the ones who choose fear. Yes. Oh, they like to project shit. Yeah, it's hilarious. Again, if I had a coin for every time you'll hear about plenty of stories as time moves forward. In the meantime, thank you for stopping by again. Let's be kind and compassionate beings, and when we meet all, not just some, they won't know any better. They'll think we have no emotions, and that's a good thing, because that way they don't know anything about what really is going on in here. I learned something called silence a long time ago. God taught me humble. So I'm like, okay, shut up. Be quiet. Also, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. And also because my mother taught me, she said, okay, Maria, remember, different doesn't mean better, and not all people are capable. So you want to be fair and square, and you want to, like any good somatic empath does, and any good nurturer, by the way, a third of attunement and repairing ruptures. That way everybody feels seen, soothed, safe, and secure to be their self, even if they're Cusco. You know why? Because Cuscos have followers, no, leaders. They follow leaders, and Peter Pan's and Lost Boys. So we're going to know that they got a way to say, excuse me, you're confusing shit. Because my scientists or mystics proven it. Wow, okay, that's why. I'm not kidding. So I learned how to shut my mouth as a teenager because I was doing some shit. And, stop it. So I'm like, oh, fuck, I want to really get out of this conversation right now. Okay, you know what? Let me try this way. It worked. Yay. Oh, and then I tried another thing. And then I tried another thing. And that's why when I got the we're not decent enough, I laughed inside. Because you get practiced since, teenagers, young adults, roosters in middle. Okay, I'm done. Thank you for stopping by. We're going to have some more tomorrow. But see, have a good time. I'm an entertainer. I'm a storyteller. There's a song that's coming to my mind. Which one was it? I'm everything and nothing. I don't remember, but maybe it's Mick Jagger. Jaguar. No, it's not a Jaguar. Okay, I'm having enough good fun time, and my words are completely out of sorts right now. Thank you for stopping by. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back again with more. In the meantime, have a great day. Oh, and if you do know people who want to have a fun time here with serious and fun, and let them come on over. It'll be nice to have you all.